What up guys, 602 Booster back at it again, out here with another vlog, out here on the King. And let me just give you this view of Arizona Mills Mall real quick, the IMAX Theater, the Lego Land. Give you a little view of South Phoenix over there, South Mountain. Look at that. But anyway guys, people have been asking since I've got this B-King, they've been asking, why'd you even buy it? I mean, it's just another Hayabusa anyway. It's really all it is, you know. Why would you go out and buy this bike? What's the reason for it? It doesn't make sense. Well, I thought I'd make this video to let you guys know why I bought the B-King and why I really love it. Check it out. So real talk, man, the B-King, this bike has been fun since I've had it. I've had nothing but blast with it. But to tell you the truth, I didn't just buy it just to have fun. You know me, when I buy bikes, I buy them to use them as tools. I don't just buy them because they're fun. To me, that's not good enough. I mean, you go out and you have fun. You go to a bar or a club or whatever. You do that stuff to go and you have fun. You go to an amusement park to have fun. You know, you go to a basketball game or something to have fun. But this bike, honestly, has been doing more for me than I've actually expected. Now, but I gotta tell you guys why this bike to me is better. Why this bike is better than the Hayabusa. Reason number one, first of all, looks. I get more looks on this bike than I do on the Hayabusa. Plus, it looks better. I mean, it's a naked version Street Fighter. You know what I'm saying? It's got that aggressive stance to it. I mean, if you really want to make it look better than stock, get rid of the cans. I mean, you got to get rid of the mufflers. You know, change out to a new exhaust, because if you don't, the bike is going to just look really, really crazy. So, number one, definitely from the looks department, definitely this bike, I think, does look better than the Busa. It just does. That's really one thing that I can say for a fact that is better than the Busa, because everybody talks about how ugly the Busa is. No one ever talks about how ugly this bike is unless if you're rolling with the stock cans. It looks weird. It doesn't look ugly, it just looks weird. But that's just reason number one. Now reason number two, and this happens to be the most valid reason, has to do with the ergonomics. Especially riding in settings like this, when you're in stop and go traffic, you're on the street, you're not, you know, on the highway, busting all kinds of land speed records. All this dirt in the road. What is this? Like the street sweeper out here. Anyway, the ergonomics. I mean, the ergonomics really set this bike apart from the Hayabusa. I mean, you're in a more upright riding position, nowhere near as aggressive, but you're definitely not upright like the V-Strom is. The V-Strom was definitely more upright, adventure, whatever, but this is, to me, is a good compromise, because you still get a slightly aggressive, but more so, you know, naked style, you know, standard naked style, whatever you want to call it, more of a naked style riding position where the stance is slightly aggressive, not overly aggressive at all like the Busa is. So with that being said, this makes this bike also a good bike to take on the street, because in stop and go traffic, you ideally don't want to be leaned over hitting the brakes all the time and on the gas, on the brake, on the gas in the middle of traffic while you're hunched over a bike. That's what gets people tired from riding, is when they have to live in the city and they ride these, you know, super sport bikes and they don't have long straights like we do here, or they have to deal with constant stop and go traffic. So the ergonomics, man, it makes a big difference, let me tell you. And that's what makes this bike to me better than the Hayabusa, because, you know, you're all leaned over, sprawled out. So So the ergonomics do a lot for you. They really, really do. They make the bike more rideable. And real talk, I don't know if it's just me, but another reason why I think the Hayabusa is not as good as the B King is because I think this bike, I feel like it weighs a lot less. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna throw the numbers up here, but I'm 99.9% sure that just even at stock weight, the B King still weighs less than the Hayabusa does. What does that mean for you? That means that this bike can be more flickable than the Hayabusa because of the ergonomics, because of your upright riding position. You could easily dip back and forth into the corners, and it makes it easier for you to be able to get the bike upright. It makes it easier for you to lean the bike over, knowing that you've got less weight. You got less heft moving around. Now, I'm not saying this bike is light. This bike is not light, but I know for a fact that this bike is lighter than the stock Hayabusa is. And we're going to compare a stock B King to a stock Busa. Of course, you could always let off the exhaust cans or whatever, but pretty much just from the factory, I know for a fact that the B King is much lighter than the Hayabusa. So it makes it easier for you to be able to handle it with that upright riding position and with less weight. And the bike just looks so good doing it too. Anyway, next thing. I personally believe, and I don't know if this is just my specific B King or not, but the B King feels faster than the Hayabusa. Now that could be totally relative. Honestly, that could be totally relative. It feels faster. Now, what do I mean by when I say it feels faster than the Hayabusa? The Hayabusa cuts through the air like a hot knife through butter, right? Because you got the fairings and all that stuff. But since this bike doesn't have it, I don't have to go as fast to feel like I'm going faster. Now, the only way that we're gonna know for sure is if we get some actual numbers, because you know everybody loves numbers. So I'm gonna throw up some actual quarter-mile numbers up here, and to be honest, I know that the Hayabusa is going to be faster, numbers game, but what feels faster is being on this B King because you don't have the fairings cutting through the air as you do on the Hayabusa. You actually feel that air hit you. And when you feel that air hit you, you feel like, man, I'm being pulled off the bike. You know, when you start to, you know, feel that, you know, torque and everything, it pulls on you. So it makes you feel like you're going faster. So trust me, this bike right here is more than enough power for the street and still has plenty of power, just like the Hayabusa does, to get you in trouble on the highway. But the difference is that you got a much more comfortable riding position. I think it looks better. You definitely have the right ergonomics. It weighs less. So really, I mean, it's a win-win. Because I don't know if many people know this, but the Busa has the same engine as the B King. Or I should say the B King has the same engine as the Hayabusa does. Real talk. The only difference between the B King and the Busa has to do with the intake and the exhaust. That's it. The intake and the exhaust are the main differences on this bike. I mean, yeah, this bike may be tuned a little bit slightly differently, but as far as the engine and as far as the transmission, the components are the same. I could take a Hayabusa clutch and stick it here on the B King. You know what I'm saying? I could take the throttle bodies from a B King and put it into a Busa. So it's like having two Busas. So the question, again, why did I buy it? Not only is it fun, but I can use it. I take this thing to work, just like I'm doing right now. I'm just coming back from a job. It's so interesting how this bike can be so similar to the Hayabusa but it can still be different in a lot of ways. It performs a different task, and it does this task very well. This bike still gets you that power that you want out of a Hayabusa, but it gives you the ergonomics of a standard or a naked bike. It gives you those looks of a standard and a naked bike. It gives you a little less weight than the Busa, so you can be able to play around with it and make it a little bit more flickable. So if you're in the market for one, definitely get one. If you're trying to get one or the other and you're not sure, I would definitely go with the B King, to be honest, because real talk, unless if you're in love with the Hayabusa, you're gonna find yourself liking this B King more if you ever get your hands on one. And man, these things are rare. These things are so rare to come by because they were only made for 1 year in the United States. So go figure, it's gonna be rare. And the funny thing about this bike too is that it's not very special. I mean, the bike in and itself is not anything that's like a mechanical marvel. It doesn't have the ABS like the Hayabusa does. It doesn't have, you know, traction control, wheelie control. It doesn't have, you know, all the other rider aids. It doesn't have the clutchless downshift, upshift. It doesn't have the quick shifter on there. Stop. So, you know, it's not like you're getting your hands on something that's like super more, you know what I'm saying, like more advanced. I mean, the bike does have a mode A and a mode B. It has one mode less than the Hayabusa does as far as rider modes, but pretty much they do the same thing. So buying this bike thinking it's gonna, you know, be some technological marvel is, you know, what you want to do. But again, if you want just that raw power in a nice ergonomic package that looks good, this is your bike right here. This is your bike. And where it shines, where the Hayabusa doesn't, is in the city, on the street. That's where it shines. On the highway, man, this thing will bust you open if you want to keep gunning it all the time, because that pressure is going to keep hitting you. There's nothing stopping the air from buffeting you. So you definitely want to make sure that you put some kind of wind protection on this, because I'll tell you right now, this thing floats through the air just like the Hayabusa does, but it doesn't have that fairing. So bam, 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 it's hitting you all in the chest. Say it with your chest, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think of this video. If you liked it, let me know if you want to see more videos with the B King. If you have a B King, let me know. Let me know what you've done to your B King that you love. Let me know more about what you're doing with your B King. 602 out.